Let's start off with the simple question. How did you guys get involved with writing on the PMBOK? I think a lot of us are aware, if you go through the back of the PMBOK guide, there's a long list from people from all over the world who were involved, which is great. I think a lot of us have maybe thought about it, but what poked you? How did you say, this is something I want to get involved in?
How did I get involved? Well, to be honest, I was not very happy with PMBOK before. We will be talking a bit more about that, I guess. I was not happy. I was not super unhappy, but I was not as happy as I had been in the past. Yeah. I'm teaching at universities, and to some extent, there was a link between those two things. And so I thought, I want to play a role in working on making it even better.
You want to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Correct.
Very good. That matches the theology kind of.
Okay, I mean, I've been involved in two. I mean, here on the 8th on the review team, together with Daniel, and on the 6th one as a writing team. So that was 2014. Essentially, probably a lot of people do not realize you're not selected in a way that suddenly someone points a finger at you and you're in. You can volunteer for that one. Basically, there's a call for reviewers or writers published on the PMI website. 2 years before that is basically published, or in some of the publications they have, and you just submit. They have certain base criteria. For example, you should be a PMP, you should have a certain number of years in project management, what have you. And then you submit, and there are hundreds of applications, and they select basically, PMI selects having basically the whole full world, all continents, most countries reflected, all the industries reflected. So it's
so they want a kind of representative sample of
Absolutely.
The 1.4, 1.7 million registered.
Right, and so for the 6, I mean, I submitted in 2014. I wasn't even a volunteer at that point yet for the chapter.
Oh, this is before you started getting involved with the chapter?
Actually, I just said, sounds cool, I'll just submit it. It was like 20-minute application. I said, fire and forget kind of thing. Yeah. And 3 months later, it's like, you were selected. Like, okay, well, I guess it's on. Yeah. And on the 8th, obviously, was a bit more conscious. And I said, you know what, I was on the program standard as well, on the review team, liked it. Why not?
Yeah. You mentioned your motivation. You thought the previous one was, I'm going to say it nicely, was not so good. You could just say he thought it sucked. But let's be quite open and honest here. We're going to have a friendly, well-meant review of the quality of the PMBOKs. And I think it's important with every work that we work on that we have a constructive, critical stance to it, but I think the word constructive is the key here. I think we all have the PMI heart beating in our chest, and quite honestly, if you're involved in the process, I think you have to give these people credit. Let me ask you. So, what was your motivation to get involved? It was just curiosity, or
curiosity?
Yeah. Which I think a lot of us who've gone through the PMBOK, I think we all have this experience. We read the PMBOK and we say, I like this, and this kind of matches what and then you say, well, but this wording is weird. I would have used different wording. So I think that's a common process. Do you know how many people in total were involved in rewriting the PMBOK? Did you have insight into that, or were you put into a specific team? How does that work when you volunteer?
So on the 6th edition, I just checked, about 100 people were involved, if you look at the appendix there. On the 8th edition, 24. That was split basically, so significant.
Only 24?
24 volunteers.
Okay.
12 on the writing team, 12 on the review team, plus 2 guys from PMI, Jesse Falwell and Joshua Parrott, excellent guys. The one is Joshua is a product manager, Jesse was a kind of the project manager, which were bridging basically between the 2 teams, because the teams had to be, due to the ANSI rules, absolutely separated. We didn't know who that was. We only met them at the publication. So, smaller team.
Writing team or the review team?
Review team, yeah.
Okay.
And maybe one thing to add here, of course, that's the core people involved in working on the topic. But at the end of the day, it's a huge crowdsourced activity, right? I mean, so
Because you send it out to I don't know how many thousands of
there is
people.
a huge part where you receive feedback and where the feedback is fed into the final version. So I would maybe call it's the drafting part.
Yes.
That is done by that core team and by that smaller group. But the final finishing and the evolutionary part is done by the larger group of people involved in the PMI.
Okay. Did you select whether you write or a review or?
Yeah, no, you get selected. Basically, you're told you're on the review team or you're on the writing team.
Okay. And you were a reviewer or writing?
As well, on the 8th I was on the review, and the 6th I was on the writing team.
I have to say this. We live in Austria, and one thing that I always say when people who don't know anything about Austria, I say, although we're a population of 8 million, I think we're globally overrepresented in pretty much everything.
We're punching over our weight class.
We're punching over our weight class, and to consider that two people involved also with the PMI chapter Austria were involved in the writing team is really makes me proud.
It is also, I would as well say, the Middle European region. We had, for example, one lady, Laura, from the Czech chapter who was on the writing team. We had another guy from Germany being on the review team. So I think not just us, but as well our region is well represented there.
Good. Excellent. What's the process? How does it begin? You get selected. What happens next?
You're like, yay, and then the work starts.
Okay. I'm guessing PMI kind of does the project management for...
Yeah, so first of all, it's like a project in the sense there's a plan and it's shared with all the people. And it's a bit a circle where the editorial team starts with an initial draft. So they have an initial discussion mainly about the outline. Then they hand it over to the review team. The review team discusses it and thinks about it, gives feedback. So it's cycles, it's many cycles that you are walked through, and there are certain milestones that you hit until the last day of, normally it's before a certain summit of the PMI, and you want to hit that date, and there's a plan for that, and you follow that date, and so it's orchestrated.